All right, fantastic. I can see the numbers are still picking up for the attendance, and we really sincerely hope that they continue to pick up as people sort of get into the program and get started accordingly. So I'm going to officially kick us off and really take this opportunity to welcome everyone. And we really hope that everyone came with the mind to learn and take an opportunity to figure out how do we actually make sure that we make the most of the best practices that have been used, that have been applied from basically all over the world, basically. I can see that there's a comment saying that the audio is on mute. Can people hear me?
But yes,
okay,
I can hear you. Maybe you can check.
Okay, great. I can see the person just responded saying the mistake was on their end. Not a problem at all. One of the favorite things about running these conferences virtually is that there's always the trick with the mute button. Either I'm muting or you're muting. So they say it's the most famous line coming out of 2020. Please unmute. So my name is Zipho Sikakane, and I'll be running the program today. I'm the CEO of EMZ Advisory, and we really specialize in, facilitation and making sure that we have really impactful conversations when it comes to moderation. So in the spirit of 2020, I mean, the big theme is really around recovery and really thinking about how do we make sure that we recover the tourism sector across the world, being aware and being very, very cognizant of the fact that this has been one of the most difficult years in history that we're coming out of. And also, more importantly, the tourism industry is the one that's most affected. If anything, if you're looking at global trends, I mean, approximately there was a 74% decline across when you're looking at last year. And then, of course, that affected revenue and stuff. And then also, more importantly, it also affected growth opportunities across the board. But nevertheless, we are all optimistic and we are all looking forward to opportunities on how do we make this work? How do we improve? How do we make it better? And that is what sharing best practices is all about from that perspective. So what's going to happen is I'm going to ask, before I introduce our welcome and opening remarks, I'm just going to ask that everyone use this opportunity to just rename and stuff. And then when they're renaming, please make sure that you put your country first. I'm going to do the same while the opening is happening. You put your country first, and then once you put your country, you then put your name so that we can interact with you accordingly. We encourage you to use the chat as much as possible so that you can really use this as an opportunity to interact, and then we all learn from each other so that we can communicate. And then please, as much as possible, always leave your microphone on mute. And those who are struggling with the technical, either hearing me or hearing others, please make sure that you use the chat, and then we will liaise with you accordingly to make sure that we assist you. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to then introduce an individual who's going to give us our opening address. And she is the Chief Director, International Relations and Cooperations for the Department of Tourism in South Africa. And after her welcome, she will also use this as an opportunity to also then welcome the relevant country representatives.
Good morning.
Then also represent.
Your microphone is on mute. We can't hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Yes.
Please unmute your microphone.
I think the colleague's microphone, she needs to check that because we can.
Yes, hi, Rosemary. So what I'm going to do is, while the welcome remarks are happening, I'll send some instructions for people so that they can change their systems so that they can also hear the audio from my end, because I can hear some people can hear me and then some people can't. So we'll send an instruction in terms of how you can fix it accordingly during the welcome accordingly. And then you also notice on the screen, we've projected the agenda. And as we go through the day, I'll keep going through the agenda. For now, we'll just want to make sure that we go through the welcome and then also introduce everyone and also have an opportunity to hear from, our minister and also a deputy minister and also relevant representatives. So I will go through the program, and there will be enough tea breaks for those who are, anxious, thinking about sitting the whole day. We will have enough opportunity. Without further ado, I would like to welcome, Ms. Nirunesa Mula. Over to you, and thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Zipho. His Excellency, the Deputy Minister of Tourism of South Africa, Mr. Fish Mahlalela, the Regional Director for the Department of Africa of the UNWTO, Ms. Elshad Grandcourt, the Chief Executive Officer of South African Tourism, Mr. Sisa Nshona, the Chief Executive Officer of the Tourism Business Council of South Africa, Mr. Chifiwa Chibengwa. And now I'd like to invite all the delegates, please, if you may, just to switch on your cameras, because I'd like to acknowledge the distinguished delegates that we have with us today from Angola, Benin, Malawi, Mozambique, Nigeria, Togo, Uganda, Zambia, Brazil, India, Mexico, Palestine, Singapore, Vietnam, and Venezuela. I'd also like to acknowledge officials from the South African Department of Tourism, and of course our moderator, Mzipo Sikakani, who will facilitate today's workshop. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this year's Sharing of Best Practices workshop. As many of you are aware, we usually host this workshop in different provinces here in South Africa to expose our delegates to our diverse country. We have 9 provinces and each one is uniquely different from the other. The session would usually be arranged over 2 days, and we would finish it with an excursion to some of our key tourism sites to give our delegates a little taste of what we have to offer. And of course, hoping that this will encourage them to return for a leisure trip in the future. I am so sorry that we are not able to offer you our warm hospitality this year. However, we do believe that this virtual session is an important opportunity now more than ever to come together, to share strategies, to learn from each other, and to engage on common issues that affect the tourism sector. This is the 8th edition of our Tourism Best Practices Workshop, which is targeted at countries that South Africa has signed bilateral tourism agreements with, and those that we engage with at bilateral level. The purpose of the workshop is to exchange information, experiences, and expertise in the tourism sector, particularly the management and development of tourism-related products and policy initiatives aimed at growing travel and tourism in South Africa and the rest of the continent. Some of the areas that we have covered during previous workshops include policies and initiatives relating to tourism development, tourism investment opportunities in countries, management of tourism statistics, grading and classification systems of tourism establishments, and organizing of mega events. As you know, we are currently living through the most unprecedented period due to the COVID-19 pandemic, and our sector is one of the worst affected. We have therefore decided to focus this year's workshop on tourism recovery strategies. We have arranged quite a diverse panel for this morning session, and we hope that you will find their presentations stimulating and insightful, and that you will have an opportunity to engage with them on their presentations. We also really look forward to receiving your country perspectives. As I end, I would like to wish you an excellent workshop. I trust it will be as impactful as our previous workshops. Ladies and gentlemen, before I leave you, I have the pleasure of introducing our next speaker, we've been very, very fortunate to secure him for this morning's session. The Deputy Minister of Tourism, His Excellency, Mr. Fish Mahlalela. Thank you.
Do you want me to come in, Mola?
Yes, please, Deputy Minister, the floor is yours.
Thanks very much. Let me take this opportunity to greet the program director, acknowledge the program director, Ms. Sikakani, who will be acting as our moderator, Ms. Alicia Grandcourt, the regional director, Africa at UNWTO, the CEO of South African Tourism, the CEO of Tourism Business Council of South Africa, representatives from African continent, delegates from India, Singapore, Vietnam, Brazil, Venezuela, and Mexico. It gives me pleasure to welcome all of you from different corners of the world. The South African government places tourism on its agenda for sustainable growth and job creation, which is one of the 8 interventions in the economic reconstruction and recovery plan. You might be aware that our president in his 2019 State of the Nation address set a target of 21 million tourist arrivals by 2030 for the tourism sector. It is through initiatives and platforms such as the best practice workshop that will make meaningful contribution in achieving such targets. On behalf of Government of South Africa, I wish to take this opportunity to welcome you to this 2021 Sharing Best Practice Workshop in South Africa, although not physical but virtual, hoping that we can welcome you in person very soon. It is my pleasure to be addressing you today on this special occasion, especially at the time when the whole world is collectively focused on the COVID-19 pandemic that impacted on lives socially, economically, and physically. 7 years back, when the Department of Tourism started interacting with counterparts on the sharing of best practices, it was a matter of choosing topics of interest to countries at the time. Today, we stand here with one common issue that needs to be addressed: the recovery of the tourism sector globally. COVID-19 has devastated the whole world and forced all of us to change the way we do things and interact with each other. Regulations have changed, imposing restrictions on travel patterns, including total national lockdowns. The global outbreak of the coronavirus in the late 2019 illustrated the vulnerability of travel and tourism to the effects of public health emergencies. The economic impact was felt in every corner of the world and almost every sector of the economy. Air, land, and seaports in most countries were closed. Most airlines had to ground planes, except those that carry cargo. Restrictions has to be placed on the movement of people. As a result, tourism activity had come to an abrupt halt, thus affecting the tourism sector negatively. The impact of the virus has led to the closure of business. Tourism establishment had led to severe job losses. It is therefore expected that the impact of the pandemic on the tourism sector and strategies to deal with it will be relevant as the theme topic for the best 2021 Best Practice Workshop. The UNWTO forecast international tourist arrival to be down by 20 to 30% in 2020 when compared to figures in 2019, equivalent to a loss of about 300 to 400 billion US dollars in international tourist receipts, which is almost 1/3 of the 1.5 trillion US dollars generated globally. Some countries were predicted to face more substantial blows than others due to the higher reliance on the tourism sector. Of the world's top 10 destinations by international tourist arrival, that is France, Spain, United States, China, Italy, Turkey, Mexico, Germany, UK, and Thailand, 8 were the hardest hit by the COVID-19. I trust that as participants of this workshop, that you are going to be robustly engaging on the discussion and sharing information on the best practice on tourism recovery plans in addressing the challenges posed by the COVID-19 pandemic. This workshop further seeks to align tourism's contribution to Agenda 2063 through improving the standards, systems, and policies in regulating the tourism industry while creating jobs and alleviating poverty. Program Director, we wish to express our appreciation and recognize the Regional Director, Department for Africa from the UNWTO office in Spain, whom I believe will provide a global tourism perspective as far as tourism recovery is concerned. Also recognizing the CEO of the South African Tourism who will be presenting the South Africa's tourism recovery plan, as well as the CEO of the Tourism Business Council of South Africa, who will share with you the industry perspective and the protocols for tourism industry operating during the COVID-19 as developed in South Africa. We therefore urge all of you to use this platform to share your country's experiences in combating the COVID-19 pandemic, to assist in identifying strategies that will bring solutions for recovery of the tourism sector post-COVID-19 pandemic challenges. As we work together to find solutions, we also strengthen regional integration and cooperation. If one considered the high infection rates some countries are battling with, a total of 1 million cases may not sound like a lot for a continent representing 17% of the world's population. The challenge is that many African countries have weak health systems and testing is significantly insufficient overall. The data on confirmed cases is only meaningful in combination with the country testing policy and the vaccine rollout, much and who they are testing and how many tests return a positive. While it is encouraging that most countries offer some form of testing, there is limited data on the actual numbers of tests performed, the number of tests per population, and the rate of positive tests for African countries. Many health policy experts on the continent are expressing concern that testing is simply too low to have an accurate picture of the spread of the virus. All those places serious challenges on tourism sector, on the visiting tourist safety, and the workers in the industry. The available data for a few African countries suggests that many positive cases are simply being missed, which allows the virus to spread even further. Less than a year since the COVID-19 pandemic started, AstraZeneca, Pfizer, and Biotech, and Moderna, and Johnson & Johnson have created safe and effective vaccines against the virus. Many countries have begun vaccinating their citizens, including South Africa. Although this is a great news and a major scientific achievement, the work isn't yet done. We are yet to be seen some signs that this accomplishment could be undermined by a failure to access the vaccines. Fair global distribution of the vaccines will save lives and help economic recovery and end the pandemic in a much more faster way for everyone. The COVID-19 pandemic has led to a dramatic loss of human lives worldwide and present unprecedented challenges to the public health, food systems, and the world of work. The economic and social distribution caused by the pandemic is devastating. Tens of millions of people are at risk of falling into extreme poverty, while the number of undernourished people, currently estimated at nearly 690 million, could increase by up to 180 million for the end of the year. Millions of enterprises face an existential threat. Nearly half of the world's 3.3 million global workforce are at risk of losing their livelihoods. Informal economy workers are particularly vulnerable because the majority lack social protection and access to quality healthcare and have lost access to productive assets. Without the means to earn an income during the lockdowns, many are unable to feed themselves and their families. For most, no income means no food, or at best, less food and less nutritious food. The potential of economic growth and development related to the tourism sector are fully recognized at both continental and international level. In the African context, the tourism sector is confronted with a number of issues, not only its long-term development and prosperity, but also in the strategic orientation, including dealing with issues such as safety and security, as well as health challenges such as the current coronavirus. Now more than ever, tourism academics need to step up and contribute research-based, data-driven ideas and solutions to support what will be left of the tourism industry. Data will have to be collected and tracked to help stakeholders make informed decisions. Academics will need to support new creativity, new opportunities that will be created in the recovery stage. Tourism education will have to be changed entirely to reflect the current realities. Ultimately, tourism depends on the environment and the people. If there is anything the coronavirus pandemic has taught us, is that nature will fight back if we do not protect it. Communities of people are important. Without that, there can be no travel, and therefore there can be no tourism. Tourism features must take cognizance of the fact that the earth has enough to support everyone's needs through sustainable practices. While borders between many countries are still being closed, our interest as a tourism sector are the entry requirements countries. As at the 4th of September 2020, South Africa required returning residents and nationals who have a negative COVID-19 certificate valid for 48 hours of arrival are allowed for self-quarantine for 21 days in case they have tested positive. As of the 19th of January 2021, Africa has recorded 3.3 million COVID-19 infections, 80,939 deaths, and well over 2.7 million recoveries. The well-received news from the World Health Organization was that the vaccine for the new coronavirus will be available to Africa by February 2021, with a target of vaccinating more than 2 billion people in this year. Africa's population is 1.3441 billion people in 2020. Having noted that few African countries have started administering the vaccination. It gives us hope that as the tourism and the hospitality sector, the value chain, that we are on the road to recovery, and therefore our policies and regulation should be shaped to suit the new norms and standard in addressing the travelers' health and safety measures. The three pillars of the Africa Joint Continental Strategy for COVID-19 are limiting transmission, preventing death, and laying the foundation for socio-economic recovery to get the integration agenda back on track following the disruption caused by the pandemic, which include funding gaps, weak health system, poor supply chain infrastructure, and undefined eligibility and prioritization criteria. Our experts pointed out that vaccinating 60% of the Africa's population will require an outlay of anything between 8 billion US dollars and 16 billion US dollars. And therefore, calling for a solid plans on who will administer the vaccines, identifying the priority populations, and how they will be researched. The record keeping and reporting system. They further indicated that government and health authorities should not let the COVID-19 emergency detract the regular immunization drives, particularly those targeting children. Ladies and gentlemen, we trust that you will spend the rest of the day sharing information frankly about your own experiences in this regard, as you learn from each other, while sharing the best practice way of dealing with our current challenges. As we conclude, we wish you the best in your deliberation, sharing of information with the best practice and strategies that will contribute towards tourism recovery in all our countries. We know that our situation will no longer be the same as yesterday, but better, normal, more inclusive, innovative, interconnected, normal is what we look forward for now. Thank you very much.